This is Maverick, and we're coming to you with Behind the Beats.
It's like the Knicks versus the Mavs. Yo, look, they don't love tone, they don't love the poems. They just go nuts just because of young and flow. They don't care how much growth he's shown, as long as he can show he about the.
Pretty much, sampling producer. I know it's a lot of people these days who, are, kind of musicians. They do a lot of keyboard stuff, throwing it on top of their samples. Me, I'm pretty much like, from that primo school of thought, like chop up my stuff. I add the bass lines and, make sure my drums kick and knock. But, it's pretty much sample based. So, Premier is definitely the one who made me want to do beats. Man, like when I used to listen to like all the Gangstar stuff, I would just listen to certain songs that he did, like The Question Remains, and I would listen to that beat and I knew what the original sample was, and I'd be like, man, how in the world did he think of that? So Premier is the one who made me want to do beats. And of course I always like Pete Rock, always like RZA. It's like the heads who are a little bit older than me, like Marley Marl, a lot of the younger cats like Dilla, but that Premier, Pete Rock, RZA school of production is the one that influenced me. Yeah, Primo, Pete, RZA. Man, Primo, Pete, RZA. I gotta throw Dilla in there because I think some of the stuff he does really is kind of influencing a lot of the producers these days, and his legacy is kind of living on. And let me throw it to Marley Marl. I say Marley Marl too. So
good choice. Good
choice. I also have to mention, because I think these guys never get any shine, like some underrated producers. Because I'm just listening to this Biggie Party of Bullshit. Easy Mo B.
Okay.
Large Professor. And I think Buck Wild. Buck Wild is like one of my favorite producers that never gets any attention. So
let's talk about records.
Mm-hmm.
What do you look for in a record?
Oh man, it's hard to say. I look a lot of these days. I kind of look at the back of the record. I try to see who some of the session players are. If there's certain people, Phil Upchurch, David T. Walker. Some of these people who don't have such a big name for, as far as like their own releases, but they play on everybody's stuff. I try to look for those people, and if I see them, I'm like, let me check this out. If I have the chance to listen to it, I definitely listen to it, but if not, that's mainly what I go for. I also go for labels, so if I see like some Philadelphia International stuff I don't know about, any Stax Records, stuff like that, I definitely check it out. Eastbound, whoever, so if it's certain labels, I definitely make sure to check those releases out too.
Who's a MC that you would like to just, lock in the studio with just you, him, and the MPC, and just record a whole album?
That's easy. Nas has always been my favorite, man. Like, ever since Illmatic, if I can get my hands on any Nas song, I just I listen to it, and so I think if Nas ever hears this, I could give you some great stuff. I think I could do an album worth of just classic material with Nas. So collection's not as big as like some other people. I know, like I think like Nick the Wonder has like a huge collection.
Yeah,
But it's, the funny thing is, it's not how much you have. It's just kind of what you hear out of the stuff that you have. Because I think Odyssey has like probably half the amount that I do. Future projects, things I got on deck right now. I'm actually working on this project. Cat out of the Bronx named Mag, and he's got a few mixtapes out already. With dudes like Torre, Sky Zoo. He's working with my man out of New York also, Vega Benetton. So Mag and I are doing a mixtape together called 9MMs. So hopefully by the end of the year we'll have that out. I'm also talking to my man down in South Carolina named Dan Johns, and he's worked with Superstition, Torre, a bunch of cats down there too. And so it's kind of in the works. We're talking about it, so we'll see what we can do with that. So those are the two main things that are coming, you know, right now. So.
What sequencer are you using on your computer? Using Pro Tools?
Not even using Pro Tools. Still using my digital workstation. Got the cool D1200.
Wow.
You know, still got this old analog mixer. So, you know, I make my beats. I sample, you know, mostly from my turntables, from my computer. And, you know, I roughly EQ it in the mixer, record it in, you know, chop it up, arrange it, sequence it, and I'll mix it down afterwards through the analog mixer, and then two-track that out into the digital workstation. So, and then I get the MCs to come in, they record on the mic, I record all of that in, and then burn it to CD. You know, put some effects on it, put some compression on it, you know, a couple of things, and ship it out.
There it is.
So.
Look, my dude is sampling Led Zeppelin. He got Led Zeppelin on the turntable.
I mean, that's
producers, do not limit yourself to just R&B,
soul samples. You know, yeah, man. And there's so much good stuff out there everywhere. It's from rock. Only thing I really don't kind of get down with so hard is country western. I haven't really found out how to flip that yet. But rock, jazz, blues, classical, R&B, reggae. You know, you can make something out of anything. It's all about how you do it. You can take, you know, there's so many samples, and I used to be one of these people who kind of stuck to the rules of producing, because it's rules of all of this. You know, it's
like don't use a loop that's already been used.
Right. You know, don't sample a sample. You know, so like all the dudes who come and
I still believe in that.
I still kind of believe in it too. I haven't, you know, broken that rule yet, but I'm kind of bending on it a little bit, because I'm like, as long as it's good, what does it matter, you know? As long as the music is good. But a lot of people are cheating, you know, like they come and they'll listen to a Kanye CD, and it'll have like a open drums at the end, and they're like, oh, let me take that, you know? And
I gotta stop you right there.
Okay.
Drums are open season.
Drums are open season?
Drums are open season to me.
I haven't done that yet. Like,
really?
It's funny. I'm still one of the people who hasn't done that yet.
I ain't gonna lie. I jacked the drum off of Maxwell's new album.
And see, I don't front on it. I don't, you know, I don't judge about it.
But that might be live. The Maxwell album is live, so
it could be. You could be good.
I get away with that.
But I'm not one of these people who frowns on everybody, you know, for breaking the rules so much. Like I say, if it's good, it's good. I can't like front. Like, if you come out with a beat that just hits me over the head, and then I find out you jack Kanye's drums, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, but it would have been so much better if it wasn't Kanye's drums. So, but yeah, you know, like I came up kind of in that era of the rules, like you don't sample a sample, you don't take sample drums, you know. If somebody found the break first, you don't use it. So, you know, I used to be caught up in that time frame where it was like,
I think everybody has.
Somebody beat me to it, so I can't come out with it. And they used it completely different than I did.
Right.
But, you know, I'm like, oh, I got to shelve it. But now I'm kind of like, whatever, you know. If mine is good, and as long as I was creative with it, hey, you know, I'm going to come out with it.
Exactly. All right.
So.
Pet peeve that I have with a lot of producers is they overproduce. They overproduce a record. Yeah. Like sometimes a loop will work instead of just straight chopping.
Yeah, I mean, and that's definitely one thing I try to be mindful of, is making sure I have enough, but then try not to like do too much.
Right.
But the thing about it is, when you're making the beats, when you're making the beats, one thing that I started realizing, I actually have to give credit to Odyssey for teaching me this, is that a lot of the pieces that you need for a beat are in the song, you know?
Right.
And even if you find a loop, or you find like an intro where it's just a bass line, and you take the bass line and you loop it and you throw some drums on it, like it's some other parts in that song, you know, some guitar licks,
right,
you know, some singing, something that you could kind of chop up and place over that to help fill in those empty spots. So, you know, I try to do that with a lot of stuff. I'll take like a simple, you know, break in a song, and I'll chop that up and I'll put it into, you know, I'll sequence it and make it into the beat, but you know, it'll still be empty, and I have to like fill it in some type of way. So you go through the song and you just listen in between the singing, you know, sometimes it's notes in between the singing that you can just kind of chop up and then throw in there, and it helps to round it out.
It's not a lesson, you've gotta fight the feel. Live by and see what's real. A person you can kill, but what about beliefs? Are we